I was originally going to do my own episode of this on the little ones mini series that I did. Originally I'd been like, oh, I'll record one episode of my own. But then I realized I had 5 clients that had babies in the last year. So I was like, nah, I'd rather like have the conversations with them. But then I got a lot of questions from you guys about being like, what are your answers to these? So I figured it would make sense for me to come live and share what my answers were for all of this. Hey, Morgana. Hey, Mandy. Hey, Kristen. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah. So a lot of people were kind of like, almost like, duh, Lace, why wouldn't you share your answers for this? And I was like, I don't know, because I had 5 clients, which is a terrible excuse because obviously a mini series can be as long as you want it to be, but that was my logic at the time. So anyway, here we are. And here I am going to share my answers to all of the little ones questions. Hey, Michelle, happy lazy day. Yes, I will talk to you in 1 hour, right? So yeah, I'm going to share all of my answers and just kind of give some thoughts. So I'll just, this will be a super casual one, but for everyone that was kind of like, well, what are your answers to these? Hopefully this answers that question. And obviously just like always happy to be an open book and talk about this. I think I have maybe had an interesting experience that I just probably think would have been helpful for me to hear, in that I am not someone who kind of always wanted to be a mom. Like I really probably for most of my life didn't think I would have kids. And that really changed, much later. I think probably only maybe like with it about a year before I decided to. So maybe I have different perspective here or whatever. If you're in a similar situation, maybe this will just resonate in a different way. But also we have 5 other episodes of little ones. So make sure you listen to the podcast so all the questions I'm going to go through today are the exact questions I asked all of the clients that did that series. And so basically all the clients that did the little one series, hi guys. Yes, Lindsay had Lacy Day too. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Lindsay. You have so much to contribute to this too. You weren't quite a client then, but you would have been number 6 to have a baby within the last year, right? Well, and actually Michelle would be number 7 because Michelle also did. So crazy. So crazy. We had seven clients, and then me had a baby in the last year, right? But so all of them had a baby within the last year. Some of them obviously first baby, some of them second, third kid. And all of them have 6 and 7 figure businesses. And we're just kind of sharing the answers to these questions. Hey, y'all, good to see you. Yes, we totally worked on this together. You were definitely very pregnant when we were together, right? Michelle said I'm the opposite and always knew I wanted kids, except I thought I wanted to have them when I was 20. LOL, Michelle. I was so not ready for that and so glad it did not happen that way for me. Yeah, totally. Oh, so crazy. She's almost 4 months. Sometimes I just look at Bennett and I'm like, I still can't believe I had a baby, let alone that I have like a 6.5-month-old. It's like mind blowing. Hi, Jess. So happy that you did it. Jess was on our little one series. And I think Jess, you said this, so I'm sure you feel comfortable with me saying it, but she felt like that was like by far the most vulnerable she's ever been on a podcast episode. So it's like really worth a listen. I think your episode was so beautiful. And I feel like you really, really opened just your heart to us. And so I'm like really grateful to you for that. So make sure to listen to that. Okay. So I'll also remember, if you comment today, you're entered to win a $100 gift card, just as a thank you for showing up and being part of this and chatting with us, because it's amazing. And I'm so grateful to everyone who does that. Okay. Yes, totally. Hi, Shari. Okay. So the first question I asked everyone was like, tell us about you and your little one. I'm sure you guys all kind of know this, but I will just very quickly do that. So I have one baby boy. He is 6.5 months old now. He was born April 4th. So yeah, we've been at this for a little bit, but I also want to preface this by saying, like, I'm just sharing my experience 6 months in. Like, I'm not a mom expert. I'm not a mom in business expert. Obviously I've had clients, for a long time that have been, moms. So I think I have like certainly unique perspective, not just from my own journey, but from theirs. But like, this is literally just from my view. This is not me being like, and I'm the ultimate knower of these things. I am not. I am 6 months into a very long journey. So like keep that perspective, right? And I'm just going to answer with that in mind. Kristen said, I'm often missing the mom perspective on business advice. It really is very different to have kids and not. Yes, totally. Hey, pal. Great to catch you live. It's been fun sharing. Yes, Sarah had her babe Addie, Sarah, like a month before Bennett, pretty much, like almost right about a month. So she has been such a gift to me and getting to have that conversation along the journey. Something I did not realize, I'm going completely off topic here, but very quickly, that I thought was so funny is like how much people forget unless you're kind of in that same stage. Like, so Sarah has been so useful to have conversations with because we're in such a similar stage where like I'll ask one of my girlfriends, who like one of my very best friends has 3 kids, and I'll ask her stuff and she'll be like, I literally don't remember. And I'm like, you did this 3 times. Come on, give me something. And she's like, this just is what happens. Like you just literally do not remember certain things unless you're in it. And so it's been so helpful that Sarah and I have been so close. And one of my other friends that lives here, some of y'all might know her, Adrienne Dorison, she has run like clockwork business. Her baby was born literally 3 days before Bennett. And so that has been wildly helpful, but yeah, okay, I'm going off topic, but anyway, it's just funny how we forget shit. Yeah, only like 2 or 3 weeks. That's right. Michelle said, whoever talked about the uncertainty of childcare on their little ones episode was speaking to my soul. I feel like we talked about this so much on Literally. Yes, for sure. I think that is such a thing. And so can be such a thing that makes you hold back in business, right? So I think it's so important to like name that. Yeah, Lindsay said that too. I've noticed that with my second. I forgot so much more than I thought I had. I'm trying to tell myself I'll remember, but yeah, I don't know. Like you might, but also I hear that it's very hard to remember these things. So I don't know. Okay, so that's kind of about us. What did maternity leave and time off look like for you? I will just share that very, very quickly because I've talked about that a lot. So I will not bore you guys with the same thing. If you want to know more about that, I have many live streams on that. But basically I took about 4 months off. Bennett was born April 5th. So I took out from that day because he came a week and a half early. And so I wasn't really planning on taking off then, but obviously. So I took off from that day onward and I went back full time very beginning of August. I went back very, very, very part-time in July. But I mean, I basically consider that month as kind of being off too, because it felt so part-time. It wasn't really reflective of like a normal time for me. I'm so glad I did that. A few people have asked me that, like I personally, and I think again, it's everyone gets to decide what works best for them. But to me, it was so valuable to have that time to just like learn how to be a mom without also having to be a mom and business owner. I think, since it was my first time, maybe that felt more important, but yeah, I just feel like so glad I gave myself the gift of that time. Like, could I have transitioned back into work sooner? 100%. I think it would have been fine, but I also really look back and I'm super grateful that I took the time that I did, and it's so funny, right? Because everyone has different opinions. Some people think that was a lot. Some people think that it was very little. Like it just depends. I mean, I remember when I told all my clients like how long I was taking, a couple of my clients were like, oh gosh, are you sure you don't want more time? And a couple were like, oh man, I think you're going to come back sooner because you're going to be like over it and ready to come back in. So like everyone has a different experience. And I think it just gets to be what it is for you. And there's no right or wrong there. But for me, I am super thankful I took that much time. And I think like, yeah, just the idea of trying to like, I don't know, like sit with him and be writing an email or answering a client in that time frame, like I think would have felt really overwhelming while I was trying to just like learn who I am and how I operate as a mom. And so I'm glad I didn't have to do both of those really simultaneously and kind of got to ease back into it. The best thing I did for my maternity leave, for anybody that's like has this coming up, hey Lisa, is take that month to ease back in. Again, for me personally, that was by far the best thing I did, because I think if I had to go 0 to 100, it would have been too hard for me. so that month that I kind of like worked very, very part-time, Kenny took his paternity leave that month. So he was off full time. I was very, very part-time. And just that getting to ease back in was exceptionally helpful, to not feel like it was like off, then right back in. So like that would be like if I had to do it again, that's the part that was like, I would do that for sure. Okay. So we'll move on from that. Again, like I said, I have a lot on maternity leave if y'all want that. Okay. So the next question was, what has been the hardest part of being a mom and business owner? This part like really, surprised me, I think. The hardest part for me by far has been wanting two things simultaneously. I talk about dichotomy all the time, but I have never experienced it as much as I have since being a mom. Also, my dad passed in that time, so there was like so much dichotomy there. I just feel like that has been like that should have been my word of the year, but it was like, it's just wanting this two things simultaneously. Like I really want to be in work and I really want to be with Bennett. And I kind of thought that like I would want a break sometimes, from mom, or like I would be happy to have the break from work. Like I thought, how do I want to say it? Like I thought that would make more sense in my head. But all that happens in my head is I just want both things all the time. And it's, in some ways, I feel so fortunate that I love both so much. And in some ways, that part is really hard for me because it sometimes makes it harder in my head to prioritize things or to make decisions because I just want them both all the time. And again, I think great problem to have, but it for sure just wasn't what I was expecting. Like I really thought that I would kind of be the mom that was like, I'm good, you take him, I'm gonna go work. And I don't feel like I'm that mom. I'm kind of like, can you just hold him and sit him next to me while I work so I can do both? Like, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, it's just like the full on, like completely conflicting desires sometimes. And yeah, it's just like, I've just had to learn to sit with it as all I can do. Right. Oh, Michelle said Ori took his full paternity leave all at once, and we learned that was way too long for him to be gone from work. He was going stir crazy by the end, bless him. Yeah, so I feel like what we did was a little bit helpful because it wasn't like both of us were kind of like full-time caring for Bennett. It was kind of like I was doing some other work stuff while Kenny was. So I feel like that was helpful because I can see how he would have like started to lose it. Kristen said the idea that 4 months is a lot is just mind-blowing to me. The Nordics having a year of paid maternity leave, the corporate world should really have that. Then it's different with entrepreneurship and home office. My brain needs work too. Right. No, I agree. I think, yeah, one of my clients like took a year and didn't feel like it was enough and was kind of like, are you sure 4 months? But like, it just depends. One of my clients took 9 weeks and like that felt really good to her. So, right. It just depends. So yeah, the hardest part for me has just been balancing that like really conflicting desire all the time. Michelle said, I'm totally that I'm good mom, which is such a dichotomy after the struggle to even get there. It doesn't mean I don't love my kids, but that it gets to be both, which you talk about all the time is so important to apply to all seasons, especially motherhood. Yes. Oh, yay. Lindsay, I didn't realize that he gets to take paternity leave. That's amazing still. Okay, great. That's so good. That's hugely something to look forward to. But like, yeah, Michelle's saying like, she is the I'm good mom. And like, that's okay too. And like, that's even a balance in the dichotomy of that too. Again, right. Especially because she's gone through so much to have her babies, but like, it's just like, fine, no matter what it is for you. But for me, I was kind of surprised that that's not how it went. So anyway, that has just been hard for me, is like really finding that balance there. I think again, because I wasn't expecting it to, I was really expecting it to feel a little simpler in my mind. And it hasn't yet. But I think what I have been really good at and what I'm like giving myself credit for is I've just really given myself grace through that, of being like, it's okay to just want both things. And like, you don't have to do anything about that except to just like let yourself feel the emotions of that. And that's okay. Like I've just been like really not trying to fix that and just trying to be like, yeah, like what a great problem to have, to like be so in love with both things that I always want them both. And I've just been trying to kind of like play in that space. Yeah, he has to get back from deployment first. Totally. I love that you love motherhood so much. I really do. Y'all said you can always also be physically ready to go back to work, but not necessarily emotionally or mentally ready. Yeah. So that was totally me. Like, so we have a nanny for Bennett, and she watches him here. The first day that she started, I think it was like August 1st or whatever. I literally cried like 6 times. Like it was incredibly tough for me emotionally. Granted, my dad had passed like July 24th. So I had a lot going on there too. So like, I don't know if my experience would have been quite the same, but oh my God, it was so that I was like, I really wanted to go back to work, but I was so emotionally overwhelmed about like being away. I mean, he's like literally in the next room, but like being away from the baby. Yeah. And I just so did not expect that. It just continues to baffle me that I'm like, am I sure this is who I am as a mom? Cause like, this is not what I was expecting, but that's another like lesson I've learned is that like, whatever you expect is probably not going to be that. Sarah said, I feel you. The hardest part being finding the balance. Since we have a nanny and Addie is home while I work, sometimes I should be working, but find myself downstairs spending time with Addie and the nanny, and then vice versa. There are times I'm with Addie and thinking about what I need to do for business. Totally. That transition of letting someone else care for your kiddo is a hard one. Oh my God, so tough. Like, and again, just not what I was expecting. I kind of thought like, oh, the day the nanny starts, I'm going to be like, whew, here you go. And I did not feel like that. I was like, I remember I like cried in the bathroom for like the whatever 4th time that day. And like, Kenny is so the best and so supportive, but he was like, could not do it anymore that day. He was like, oh my God, it's so funny to think about now. I'm like crying, laughing because it was so funny in retrospect. But he was like, Lace, you got to get it together. He was just like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to help you with here. Like, we're on number 5. Like, you got to get it together. And, you know, I worked it out, but it was so intense for me. They also change so much when they're little and it's hard to feel like you're missing things. Yes, 100%. I went through that nostalgic spiral of, was I a good enough mom during the last 3 months, or brainer, real cute? Yeah. Oh my God, totally. And it's like so easy to make yourself wrong no matter what. So that part for me has definitely been like, you know, I'm navigating it, but I'm just trying to like be like in the emotion of it and like have that be okay. The best or most surprising part, I mean, I think I kind of covered this too, but that I like it so much is that like, not that I thought I was gonna like have a kid and hate the kid or anything like that, right? But I just like it's not been like this big like I had a vision of who I am as a mom or whatever. I kind of thought like I really do want to do this, but like I don't think it's gonna like I didn't like identify as like mama energy almost, although which is funny in retrospect now because I feel like I'm very mama energy to all my clients, but yeah, I just like really wasn't in that, but I just like love it and think it's the best. And so that has been really helpful for me to see, and also really cool because, you know, I think there's this way where like we feel like if I didn't want something since I was a little girl or something, that like it's not going to click for us or whatever. And I think you can apply that to anything like marriage, entrepreneurship, whatever. Like if you didn't dream of the wedding, like you might still really love being married, or, you know, like if you didn't dream of having the baby, it might still be the best thing. So, or yeah, if you didn't dream of having the business, like you don't have to have like wanted to be an entrepreneur since birth to like end up really loving it. And so that has been amazing and surprising for me that I'm just like obsessed with it. Which again, sometimes I'm just like, who am I? What? But yeah, that has been like really awesome. And, you know, I think the other surprising part has been like, shit just always works out. I mean, you guys know, like one of my most practiced thoughts is everything always works out perfectly for me. And what I have found is that like I would have thought like, how will all this fit? How will all this work? Or like, what if, you know, we don't like our nanny or whatever? And I know it would all work out, but like, we have the best nanny. I think she was like the greatest. She makes me feel so comfortable and so safe. And I just love her. And I love having her as part of our family. Like it just worked out so perfectly. The timing has worked out perfectly. Like it's just, I think before having been it, I was like, how will all this work? And now I'm just like, it's so obvious how it all works. And so that has been really helpful to just see too. And, again, I think like part of it is that I've been practicing that thought for a really long time, but it's like really cool to see it come to life here. Oh, sorry, stop for coffee. I'm jealous. I could totally use a coffee right now. Fully support this. LOL that Kenny's tough loving you crying in the bathroom. I can so see myself doing shit like that. Yeah. See, like the first 3 or 4 times he was like very supportive. On the last time he was like, I like we're capped out. Like you gotta lock it in. It's so funny. But yeah, I was like, it's just how it is today, Kenny. Okay, how has it changed your business? So I mean, the way that it's definitely changed things for me is I just feel a little bit more ruthless about like what I'm saying yes and no to and what I'm like willing to do or not do. And like something just like interesting for me is like, I would have told you before this that I had delegated everything I could possibly delegate. And now I'm like, nope, could delegate that, could delegate that. I mean, it hasn't been any big thing, but it's just like really made me like so crystal clear about what I should be doing and not doing. And so that's really helpful. During my maternity leave, Presley said at one point, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I have no idea why you're crying. So you're going to have to tell me. Oh my God. So funny. I so get that. Cause yeah, like also you probably didn't even know why you were crying, like that's what makes it hard. But yeah, I said no to more things. And I've also been really trying to be really intentional about what I say yes to. So I said yes to something recently in business, which I'm being an asshole, I guess, and not sharing it, but I will share it later this year. But I said yes to a pretty big thing in business. And it sort of didn't make sense to say yes to, but it also made the most sense. Because it aligns with like so much of like what I'm thinking and what I'm believing and like what I'm going through. And so I feel like I'm still willing to say yes to stuff in business, but it just really, really, really has to pass through like a lot of criteria to be the right thing. And I think I'm just being so much more ruthless about that. Like even something silly, like I got asked to be on a podcast that's a pretty big podcast and like really cool. And like, I really like their vibe and like everything about it is amazing. Right. And I just basically said to them, like, I can do it next year. And so like just finding, where like pre Bennett me would have been like, sure, I'll make it work. I'll fit it in. And like this time I was just like, hey, like, I am so honored that you asked me. I'm so happy like to be part of this. I would love to do this. And it's going to have to be next year. And like, they were fine with that. Like, so, it's just been like seeing that. You guys with the cliffhanger. I know, I'm sorry. But it would have been weird not to say that too, because it just feels so present, but I promise I will tell you. But it is kind of a big deal. And then, yeah, so just like, it's just made me have a better filter and also made me more willing to be like, yes, but that will happen in 3 weeks, or like, yes, but next year, or like, no, it just doesn't make sense. Like that part has felt more crystal clear for me than ever before. And I also just have less ability to be flat. Well, that's not even totally true. I mean, like, right, I have a nanny and a husband, so it's like I could be really flexible, but it feels like I have less desire to be super, super flexible on stuff like that. Why do I feel like Jess and Michelle are gonna figure it out? That feels it would be really hard to, if anybody guessed this, I would like give you coaching for free because it would be like a very tough guess. Shari said resonated with something not being your dream forever and then it being such a perfect fit. That was me and my biz actually for years. DeAndre was like, you should be your own boss. And I was like, nah, I'd rather find someone doing great work and work for them. Me now, LOL, so much of this thought. Yes, exactly. Like that's like spot on, Shari. Like I would have said that about motherhood. I would have been like, oh, I'm like great being like the fun aunt to all my friends' kids. And I like would be happy to like, play with them and watch them and then give them back and like yeah, now the me is like, LOL, said so not true, but like that, yeah, it's just, it's like, you're not ready till you're ready, right? That is true. Elisa did guess Sabrina on literally. She nailed that one. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. Okay, good. Let me know what you think. Maybe you'll give me an idea. Maybe it'll be like, well, it's not bad, but that's a fantastic idea. So yeah, that's really how, I mean, that's the only way it's really changed things though, to be honest. Like I feel pretty grateful that, and not that it's bad if it changes your business. I don't think that's bad either, but I feel pretty grateful that like I haven't really wanted to change a lot, to be perfectly honest, which is like interesting. Like it's almost showed me like I really like how I operate my business. Foundation related. Foundation. Sorry, tell me what you mean about foundation related. Do you mean like foundational, like business model? Tell me what you mean there. I just want to make sure I get the question. Okay, yeah, but like again, I think like Jess talked about in her episode that she reimagined almost like her whole business. Oh, nonprofit, duh. I get what you mean. Sorry, no, but again, good idea. Oh, should I drop it? That's a good idea, Michelle. Maybe I should craft this whole thing where I drop hints every week or something. That would take a lot of energy, but maybe. Our Halloween inflatables just arrived. Well, I'm jealous. You're that family. Oh my gosh. Yeah, be that family. Heck yeah. We have a 12-foot skeleton and we're totally that family. And I really like being that family. Okay, so yeah, that has been cool. Like not much has changed there. What do I wish I'd known before this? Meet us at midnight. You can tell me. Oh, Michelle will craft my hints. A collab with you and Kenny. No, sure, Kenny would hate that. No, I'm kidding, but he probably would. So okay, what do I wish I'd known before this? What I feel like you know how you can like know something or you can like know something, right? Like what I knew was that time expands and things work out. I feel like I've always known that in my business, but what I like know, like capital N-O-W, right? Or K-N-O-W, oh my God. What I like know now is that time expands and it all works out. Like before I had a baby, I didn't think I had time for a baby, do you know? And now that I have a baby, I'm like, of course I have time for a baby. And like, I imagine that's how a lot of moms feel that have their second or third kid too, where it seems like, how will this work or fit? And then it just does. And that has been like really, really cool. The comment section is so unhinged. I love it. I will always take an unhinged comment section. It's the best thing. Oh yeah, Elisa said best part of my day. Like, please keep them as unhinged as possible. Within reason. Yeah, but so like time expands and it all works out. And like, it's so funny because it's like, sometimes I stop and I'm like, what was I doing with my time before this? Because I spend a lot of time with Bennett, which I'll talk about when I talk about balance. So I spend a lot of time with Bennett. So I'm like, what was I doing that I like wasn't doing that before, you know? But it's like so wild how it's like true that things expand into the time that you allow for them. So I think that like I just allowed more time before. And so stuff expanded into that. And I just allow less time. And like it just works with that. And so, yeah, Patricia said I have 3 and it's funny how you just adjust and make it work. Exactly. Like, I think it, you know, I don't know what it's like to have 3, but I totally can see how that would be the case. Michelle's saying the queen of fucking around with my time. I've thought that too. No clue what I did with my time. Right. So like, I was so kind of like worried about like, what would that look like? Or how would that fit? Or what would that be? And it's just been so useful to be like, it works, you know? I wish I wouldn't have worried about that so much, to be honest. I think, you know, in some ways it was helpful because it forced me to like really plan and stuff. But in other ways, like I think that I probably spent far too much time thinking about how it would all fit when it just does. Which just sounds crazy, right? If you haven't had that experience, but like it just works and it just expands how it expands. And so just so useful to have that viewfinder now, because like, I don't know, I don't think we'll have a second kid. I'm pretty much one and done, but like, it also doesn't feel prohibitive of that, which is really nice too. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, I couldn't possibly have time. Like now I'm just like, I know that would work out. You know what I mean? Hi, Amanda. Michelle said when I had my first, I spent all my time taking pictures of her according to my saved photos. That is not how I spent my time with the second. Sorry, Del. Yeah. Are you planning on writing a book? No, but I would love to do that someday, very far in the future, once I have gained a ton of wisdom that I feel like would fit that. But no. But you never know. So I really like these. I like these guesses. I'm like, what else could I do? Tell me. But yeah, and I think time expands is true of anything. Like even this new thing that y'all are trying to guess, like that's kind of like what I went into that with this frame of, was like time expands and I'll figure it out. Not that I want to like overwork myself or like take on a million clients, or, you know, I want to be like reasonable about things, but you know, I think about that Michael Singer quote all the time, which is like one of my favorite quotes, which is like, serve what's put in front of you and let go of everything it stirs up within you. And I feel like the more I've done that on this journey of just kind of like serving what's put in front of me, it's like amazing how it kind of works. And what I have to do is let go of all the like control stuff it stirs up within me to be like, but does this fit and does this work? And like, and it just always does. Okay, last question was, what's your version of balance? Oh, and if you guys have any questions that you'd want me to answer about it, let me know. The question cannot be what was the thing, but other than that, I will answer any question if you guys have about this. But so let me get really specific around what it looks like for me, because I think that might just be helpful. And then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But basically, so what my days kind of look like, at least Monday through Thursday, is that our nanny comes at like 8:30. She stays till 3:30. So basically when Bennett gets up, I have like 2 hours with him in the morning. I like feed him. We take a walk together. I play with him. I like change his clothes, like all the things, right? Like I just do mom shit. In the morning. Are you doing it? Are you going to be on a reality TV show? I'm not doing another NFT auction, although like maybe in the future I'd be open to that. If I was going to be on a reality TV show, I would be so happy, but I am not. But you know, goals. Actually, I don't know if I'd want to be on one. I really want one of my clients to be on one. That would be goals. But yeah, so in the morning I have like 2 hours with the baby. Our nanny comes. I work. The beauty is that he is here. So I often see him in between calls and go out and play with him and that. So that's super, super nice. That feels like a really beautiful balance. I'm so, so, so grateful that he gets to be like in our home and like here all the time. That makes it really nice. So like when I have a break, it's so nice to go see him and hang out with him. Like Sarah was saying, it can be a little bit of a balance because, hey, Shantae, it can be a little bit of a balance because obviously he's here in the house. So it's like, I can just like go fuck around for 20 minutes and sit there with him, which like, can derail your day, but it's like so lovely that he's here. I feel so grateful for that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Lisa, that's not fair. That's a terribly unfair strategy. That's so funny, but you're so right. I don't know if I told you guys this last time, but my face gives away everything. When we used to do sorority rush, like you would like stand like at the front of the stairs and people would walk in and like I had to get moved back of the stairs because my face would give everything away. Like if someone did something weird or we didn't like something or whatever, I'd be like, so I had to get moved. So anyway, like your strategy is good, but I don't like it. Do you use time for you while your nanny is there? Yes, I do. So like while she's here, if I want to like the other day, I like scheduled a massage for while she was here, or like sometimes I'll take a really long bath while she's here, different stuff like that. Yeah, so I totally do that. And then, so yeah, I'm with him for a couple hours. She's here. I'm on and off in and out with him all day. She leaves about 3:30. And then I'm basically mama until he goes to bed about 7:38. So for all intents and purposes, we have like, I don't know, 6+ hours that I'm working and about 6+ hours that I'm with Bennett a day. So like in some ways it's like almost like the perfect balance, but I didn't like design it that way to be balanced. I just designed it that way because it's kind of what fit with work already and with the desire I had to spend time with him in the afternoons. Oh my God, you guys are killing me. You guys are terrible. I can't tell you anything. No, I'm kidding. You guys are so fun. I love this. And now it makes me want to keep it a secret even more. Like I wasn't even that committed to it, but now I feel committed. um I'm distracted. Okay, but anyway, so like in some ways it's like a perfect balance, but again, I didn't like set it up like that where I'm like, oh, it has to be the perfect balance, but that's kind of how it's worked out. But what is nice for me personally, which I think other people might have a totally different desire or perspective, is that I like both every day. I think some of my clients really prefer to have like one day where they're more in work mode and one day where they're more in mom mode. For me, I really like having both every day where that feels like a balance, because for me, that feels like that just feels like where I'm my best. Like if I have a day where I'm like so in work mode and I don't get to spend as much time with Bennett, I don't love that. But also like, I don't really like the full day of all things that, because then I feel like I'm, wanting to like be there for my clients and different things like that. So I feel like I'm like my best when I'm in both every day. And then on Fridays, our nanny just comes for like 2 hours, and Kenny takes him for part of it and I take him for part of it. So Fridays we have a little more time with him. And yeah, that's it. Like, it's really like for me, the balance is just getting to be present in both every day. And like, I really try to work on that presence. So when I'm working, I try to be, really in it. And when I'm with him, I really try not to work. Every now and then I'll look at something, but I'm certainly not like, my experience, and I'm not making this wrong at all, but my experience has not been one of like, he's sitting here and I'm working on my laptop kind of thing. Like that just hasn't been how I've done it. Again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But for me, it's more been like, when he is here, like he has my presence. When work is here, work has my presence. And I really have tried to keep it like that as much as possible, because that's when I kind of feel the most balanced personally. So I feel like for me, balance is both each day and presence in both. And for me, it's easier to be present in both because I have them each day, if that makes sense. Where like, if I had a whole day where I knew I wasn't going to get time with him, I feel like I would be thinking about him a lot and it'd be hard to be present in work, or vice versa. If I was like with him all day, I'd be like, oh, I have like client messages and whatever. And so the balance of that. And then obviously on weekends, we are together the whole time and do the family thing and all of that. But yeah, I think it's just been really cool to have both. And for me, that's what's felt good right now. Curiosity killed the cat. I made times. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. Just that I like having work and mom days, but I wish I could have a couple in a row for more momentum. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I like the mixed days too. I don't start my work day until 11 currently, so I can feed Delphi when I drop her off at daycare. It's really nice to have that slow time in the morning with both girls. I love that. In my own day, I want to work later in the morning with more time for myself. Yeah, totally. Like, I think that's just good to see that like we get to craft it how we want to craft it. You know what I mean? Like for me, having those morning time with Bennett. And the one thing I will be transparent about, because I think it's important to hear this, is like, I usually work before he wakes up and after he goes to bed. Like, I'm just going to be honest about that, because for two reasons. One, because of what Patricia asked me, which is sometimes when the nanny's here, I don't just want to work. Like I am doing other stuff. Like I go get my hair cut, or I go get a massage, or I get my nails done, or like whatever. I like take a long bath, so it's not like the whole time she's here, I'm in work mode that whole time. And for me, it feels good to work in the morning first thing and at night. And so like, I feel like for some people, like that would feel terrible. And they'd be like, oh my God, it's like you're working all day long, all the time. And like, really, I'm just working in pockets. So it's like I have a pocket in the morning, I have a pocket when the nanny's here, I have a pocket in the evening, like that just works for me and I like it. And like I just try to not make myself wrong for that. And I think our industry has this like glorification of like work as little as possible, always, always, always. And if you're like working sometimes early in the morning or late at night, you're doing it wrong. And like I don't feel that way. Wait, hold on, that's a hack. Wait, tell me what the hack is, Jess. I didn't know I could do that at all. Do you mean the morning and night thing? Or do you mean like the do shit for yourself while the kid is in care? Tell me which one you meant. Shantae said, I really do love how much you talk about how much you love to work. I think this space sometimes glamorizes not working a lot instead of what you always say is make it work for you. Exactly. Yes, love the quiet. Shari said, I love working nighttime pockets, to be honest. Me too. I love that. Like, I really like the bookend of it. And like, it just feels good right now. That I can do things for myself during childcare. Yeah. That's like half the point of having childcare, I think. Yeah, heck yeah. But again, like there's a trade-off for that. You know what I mean? So because I do stuff for myself sometimes during childcare, whatever it is, like this morning I took a long walk, like then yeah, I am probably going to catch up later. But for me, that feels better to say, like I'm willing to do that versus like, oh, I can never work at night or in the morning and I have to cram it all in during the day. Like that, again, that just isn't how I work best or doesn't feel good for me. For someone else, they might be like, oh my God, the idea of working after my kid goes to bed is miserable. Like totally fine. Like you don't have to do it. But for me, that really works. But again, I think it's just helpful to say, I also am very like aware that this is a season. And so I just really try to remember that too, is like this is a season if he's really small and like really needs me for like a lot of things. Like I'm still breastfeeding, so like it's okay that like I'm going to be as present as I can during the day and if I want to work later, but like I'm getting so many things I want from that, like a lot of present time with him each, like 6 hours of pure presence with him each day. So the trade-off of being like, I'm going to work at night, I'm like, oh my God, I would take that all day long. Who cares? So I think that that's just important to say though, because I think sometimes it can feel like, oh, like you must never have to like put in an early morning or a late night. And it's like, well, that's like exactly what I do, but it's like, because I'm getting so many other things that I want. Right. Thankful for your nighttime pockets. Thank you, Shantae. New assignment. Yes, Michelle. It also works for me personally because I have clients in Australia and I'm in Florida. Yeah, 100%. A friend on Bluetooth. I love that, Shari. Thank you for having us on Bluetooth. Kristen said, do you feel like you get time with Kenny in this season? For me, that would be a big problem with working at night. So, the thing about, well, two things. One is like, it's not like I work the whole, like he goes to bed at like 7:38. So, right, say we stay up till 10:30. I'm not necessarily working from like 7:30 to 10:30. It's more like there might be like an hour pocket in there. So we still get time together. We always eat dinner together as a family. And we are really lucky because Kenny works from home too. So we just get a lot of time together in the morning and evenings too. So it's like when I'm with Bennett in the mornings or evenings, Kenny's often there with us too. So it's like, it feels like we're getting that time a lot. Like, but again, I think that's more indicative of the fact that he has a super flexible schedule and works from home. I think if he didn't, obviously I'd probably have to reprioritize that a little bit. But yeah, he does. And so that's really nice. And then also we have weekend stuff. We've been trying to do a little more date nights. I found it very, very, very hard to leave Bennett at first, but I'm like getting on board. We did a date night Saturday. We're doing another one this Saturday. So like we're making time for it in that way too. Sometimes working later at night can feel so cozy. Yes, exactly. Has Kenny always worked from home, but he travels? Oh yeah. So Kenny works from home. He used to travel way, way, way more. Like pre-pandemic, he probably traveled every week. And then the pandemic changed a lot of things for him with work. And so now he probably travels maybe like twice a month. So shit's like way more full on, obviously, when he's not here too. And I'm doing the like solo parent thing a couple times a month. So like that obviously is a little bit different, but that it's not nearly as much, thank God. I spend way less time working on content when I do it at night. Same, like I actually am so much more productive. Mine's even more in the morning. Like I can bang some content out in the morning and it's like done. So it's like helpful for me versus like in the middle of the day. Sometimes I'm like bouncing between things, et cetera, you know? Can I ask, what are the thoughts, feelings that come up that make it hard to leave baby, even if it's not physically leaving, but just being in another room? Yeah, that's a really good question. Let me try to think about that. What are the thoughts or feelings that come up that make it hard to leave him? I don't know if I can conceptualize it as well as I want to, but it's just like, it feels like I think like literally physiologically, you feel like you're supposed to be with your baby. Like, I don't know how else to explain that for me. Again, not everyone. I don't know if it's because I'm breastfeeding or whatever, but like they're like, I literally feel like a physical pull. Or like when I remember when I first had him and he would cry, like I would literally like it would hurt my body. And Kenny would be like, I mean, I don't want him to cry and like I don't love that he's crying, but it doesn't feel like that. And for me, it would be like, oh my God, right? So I feel like there has to be like some physiological component too, because there's not even like a really reasonable, like I don't feel a lot of mom guilt. I conceptually don't feel like bad leaving him. I feel like he loves our nanny so much. I'm fine with all that, but it just feels like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be near him. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. Leaving him in terms of like, you know, we went on a date night this Saturday. My mom watched him. That was harder for me because I felt like, oh, what if something happens when I'm not here? So that part was way more thought-based, but the like, he's in another room. What's the problem? I don't even know that there's like a thought I can pinpoint with that. It's literally just feels like a physical feeling. But it has gotten better over time. So that's helpful too. But yeah, for me, I really have not felt really very riddled with mom guilt or anything like that. It's really felt more like just the intensity of like being away from him is weird, right? I don't know if anybody else feels like that. Like this morning, the girl needs her coffee or else. Yes. Okay, Shar, you asked another question that I want to make sure to answer. You said, does your body or mind need different things now? Yes, I would answer yes to that. I think what it needs more than it's ever needed is quiet. Sometimes I'm like obviously very introverted. But it's not like a super loud baby by any means, but you're just stimulated more. You know what I mean? And so what I have like really tried to do is like carve out more pockets of quiet. Like normally I would say before, like sometimes I'd go on a walk and listen to a podcast or something like that, or like a book like that. I really liked that. And now I don't even do that. Like if I'm on a walk, there is nothing in my ears ever. And like, or even if I'm in like the bath or anything, like I want so little stimulation. I don't even know that I feel overstimulated by him, but I definitely feel like my nervous system needs to continue to find that quiet. So that's been like what I crave for sure. Yael said, I remember a couple of nights after I had my first baby, my sister-in-law was over and she was like, okay, I'll watch him. You go to the other room and sleep. And I physically couldn't, like, I just couldn't settle down if he wasn't next to me. That exactly 100%. Like, I don't even know how else to explain it, but it's totally that. Like Bennett still sleeps in our room which is, you know, I'm sure like some people would be like, come on, but like for me, I just feel settled when he's like in our room. Like, I'm like, okay, all is well in the world, you know? So much more quiet in my physical space. Yeah, I so feel that way. Dear God, this is slightly terrifying, but also normalizing. I'm already kind of like a dog, and that I'm happier when I gather my people in the space. I accidentally follow DeAndre into our room. He said, I can only imagine how much that will intensify with the baby. Totally. I'm kind of like that too. Like if I could just like be near Kenny all the time, I would be like, you're good, back it up. But yeah, and so I think I just naturally feel like that with him. But yeah, I hope it is just normalizing. Like what I have found to be true is that all the things people say about motherhood of like, oh, it's really hard and you like want to be with them and then you want to not be with them, or like you want like all of the things that feel so intense out that are like you don't sleep or whatever, like all of that is actually true. It just doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would feel, if that makes sense. Like I thought it would just feel bad, but it's like what it's balanced with is so much good that it doesn't just feel bad. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Elisa said, to be totally honest, I have this fear that because I'm in the growth phase of my biz, having a baby would somehow be detrimental. And then there is this age thing of like, well, it's kind of now or never, and so much societal pressure. So I appreciate this live and podcast series so much. Oh, so good. I definitely get you 100%. And I do think it's the opposite. I think it makes you get so much more clarity, potentially so much more like locked and loaded. I mean, obviously, time is a factor there, but I have just found that to work out in ways you could never expect. So like, I think that it's so hard to see it. Like I would always say like, I'm pregnant, but after that looks like a black hole. Like I have no idea, but it's just like worked out. So I don't know. I mean, like you have to do whatever is best for you. That like certainly wouldn't push you one way or another, but I think like there is just some grace and like it kind of works out and feels better than you could expect, in my opinion. It wears off though, trust me. Well, that actually is nice to know that it wears off because sometimes I'm like, he's gonna have to not sleep in our room at a certain point. I'm gonna have to let him go to school at a certain point. So that's actually helpful. Totally feel the craving for quiet. Yes, just that it's the opposite too. Yes. So good. Yeah, having her fifth baby was amazing for biz. Yes, helped me make way better decisions and get so much clarity on what I really needed and wanted. Yes, 100%. Michelle says same. Yes, exactly. So much good evidence here. But yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, I need more quiet. And what else? I feel like have been actually even better about doing my mindset practice since having Bennett, which is funny because I'm like pretty rock solid on that and always have been, but I feel like I prioritize it even more because I feel like it's just so important for your brain. And obviously like with having a baby and breastfeeding and all of that, like your hormones are just all over the place. And so just prioritizing that and coming back to that and making that important has been really helpful. So yeah, I just need like quiet and more mindset is basically it, which I feel like is the answer to all things. No joke, my daughter is already 2 and I'm like, I need another one. Oh my gosh, so funny, y'all. I keep wondering if I'm gonna feel that way. Like I feel pretty committed to one and done, but I could see that when he's like not a baby anymore, I'd be like, I need a baby, we'll see. What does your mindset practice look like now? Mostly it's just journaling. I've been trying to do a little bit more meditating for the kind of same reason of like wanting to like cultivate quiet and stuff, but mostly it's just journaling right now. And I just try to do it when I wake up in the morning before Bennett. I do a little bit of work and then I also do it then because it just feels like if it doesn't happen, then it's harder to make happen later. Okay, cool. I think that's it. So yeah, like so much better than I could have expected, but also so different than I could have expected. So much more dichotomy than I ever would have expected, which like is funny because I preach about dichotomy and talk about it all the time, but like it's just way more than I ever even thought. But I'm so grateful that I was already in the practice of that because I think that has made holding all of this a little bit easier because I kind of knew that already. I kind of already knew what that felt like in my body. So it's been nice to, connect to that more. But yeah, I just hope that was helpful. I mean, again, this is not my area of expertise at all, just kind of wanted to share, from my own personal viewpoint and experience. So thank you guys so much for being here. I so appreciate all of you. I'm very interested to see if y'all guess or how this unfolds. And I can't wait to be back with y'all next week. All right. Bye guys.